Over the last few years, we have noticed dramatic changes in the price of fuel, electricity, and public transport costs. So how can we get an accurate account of what's happening in the world? We are using the internet more and more as a source of information. There are numerous websites available to us which can inform and enlighten us to what is going on in the world. Ella McSweeney, radio producer and website expert, tells us how news is presented on the internet.
I mean, the internet has made news and reporting instantly accessible, so we don't need to rely anymore on broadcasters to tell us at their 6 o'clock bulletin about news events. Now the internet enables you to be able to find out anything about the news at any time of the day, from any part of the world, which is why it's so exciting and so useful. So if, for example, you wanted to find out the impact of energy costs from the Iraq war, you would be able to look at a search engine like google.com. It would give you a wide variety of internet sites that have that topic.
George Lee, economics editor with RTE, tells us how world events affect energy costs and what stories to follow on the internet.
Iraq is a big producer of oil. There's only about 23 countries in the world who are producing oil. Iraq is a big producer. And if there's a war in Iraq, it means that getting the oil out of the ground in Iraq, firstly, is disrupted. And if there's a shortage of it, you'll find the price of both oil, electricity and gas, those three things, going up. And that's why any disruption or anything which looks like a deterioration in the Middle East causes that kind of a problem. And when the ESB is looking at what they're doing, they watch very carefully the price of oil.
Because there are so many internet sites out there, how do we know which ones are reliable?
Most reliable internet sites would have an About Us section, about us being what the internet site is there, who set it up and who's responsible for it. You can also go to websites that catalogue who owns the website, the URL, the web address, like www.rte.ie. There's also a website, the address is www.lii.org, and this is a list of websites that professional librarians have drawn up about websites that they trust. And knowing which sites to trust can be quite difficult. People usually rely on the old sort of usuals of the BBC, of Reuters, of the press agencies.
Websites may look complicated, but there are a lot of words commonly used, like email alerts.
What this means is that you can decide, I want to know the morning's headlines, and I want them to be delivered to my email inbox every morning. And what this means is that you don't have to spend your day surfing on the internet, various news sites, in order to find out what the day's news is, that it comes to you.
So what is a blog?
A blog is a web log. It's a log of a person's opinions and thoughts. People could log onto the internet, log into their blog with a password, and then upload their information and then write, for example, what their thoughts on Iraq or their thoughts on energy and the cost of energy in Ireland today. And so they give a huge amount of opinion, they give a huge amount of information about what people do, what they like.
With all these sites available to us, can we use them all for free?
One of the nicest things about the internet is that you can access it, and it's from all over the world and it's generally free.
All this information is a useful guide when browsing the net, but is it a good enough source to make a good decision?
It's important to get a balance between using the internet and using it to your advantage, but also remembering there are other ways of getting information, like reading, like going to your local library, and like talking to people who work in the area who might give you a more interesting perspective.